Webinar Wednesdays, hosted by Ina, where we help you get the most out of your Microsoft Cloud investment. This is the second webinar to last year's first webinar in the series that focuses on all things application governance and you. We will be scrummaging through the concepts, features, and services that Microsoft has to offer, and hopefully we can provide you with tips and tricks that we've seen over the years. I'm wearing a dinosaur shirt to support Active Directory, the world's oldest, I can't say it's the world's oldest identity platform, right? Because it's not. That's Novell, right? So hopefully, we can give you some tips and tricks. And this is one of those webinars where we do leave you with some take-home slides. When working with the Microsoft Cloud, more importantly, your Azure and Microsoft 365 tenants. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Also, some housekeeping before we jump into death by PowerPoint and a few demos. Buying to qualify. Look at that. I can see the chat. This session is being recorded, and we will share the deck as well as the recording with you if you have registered. We also have the webinar police, and that will occasionally show up and from the skies and get us back on track, because Nick and I will squirrel for the next 2 hours on this topic. Also, something that's been asked by the founder of eNow, Jay, he always wants to know where people are from. So please drop it in the chat or in the Q&A. Should you have any questions, please smash it. Nats, I see that the chat is available, so I don't know. Just put the questions that you have everywhere. It doesn't really matter. We are super excited to be here with you today. So let's get started. I will start sharing the deck. That bad boy. And Nick, just holler when it works.
I see you.
Okay, you didn't finish the sentence. You just said, I see you. So today's session is really to talk about being able to identify.
I really do see you. I see you in front of me. It says a little Alistair Pugin with your name on the bottom. So I do. I see you. It's technically accurate.
Oh, it's going to be a long night. The session is really to talk about being able to identify and fix application security vulnerabilities in Microsoft Entra ID. Just a little bit about eNow. eNow has been around since the beginning of time. They do cool stuff with dashboards and reports, and the product that we'll be showing you today, it's a free product by eNow called AppGov, and they've been building these dashboards in the Exchange space, which is why everyone likes Nick, because he spent a lot of time there. And we'll be talking a little bit about tooling and also what you can do to achieve operational efficiencies inside of Entra ID. So apparently I have to introduce Nick. He is my co-host on today's show. He is the Daniel Craig of IT. He runs through firewalls. He's the founder of a company called NB Consult. I work for NB Consult as well. And he's been doing things with Exchange since the beginning of time. I think Exchange is what, 37,000 years this year old?
Yes.
I'm not sure how Exchange is.
No exaggeration.
How do you know when people live and breathe Exchange? It's like, how do you know when people actually live and breathe Crossfit? They will actually tell you. Nick is an Exchange Ranger. He's an Exchange MCM and MCSM. I can't remember that term. He's also an author and a 17-year MVP veteran. Did I do it justice? He also has multiple podcasts, SER Fridays, The Cloud Architects, and a whole bunch of other things. We can spend an entire stuff. Yes. Okay, moving on. You need to now introduce me, Nick.
Well, one of the least things I can say about Alistair is that he is amazing, and you'll see that in the next few slides, because they are his brainchild. So Alistair actually started in the days of document management, and when I say document management, he's been doing this stuff so long ago that, or for so long, that he actually used to shuffle paper and manage documents in the real world. And then he started shuffling files around and followed the trail to SharePoint and became a SharePoint MVP. So Alistair actually understands what SharePoint does under the hood as a document management system that the rest of us stare at in awe and wonder where our files went. Alistair knows where your files went. He started off as a COBOL programmer. I did
I
mention
did.
that he started in the days when there was paper, like actual paper, and he has the distinction of making anything that he does look good. He is also an MVP and a
I
blogger
happen to be an MVP, and I do
and
stuff
a
with tech. I think
podcaster
that's the easiest thing.
and a
I'm a
speaker.
maker. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're moving
Was
on.
that good?
I think Nat needs to mute you at times like these. So today's session is really going to focus on a couple of key points, right? And if you haven't watched the previous webinar in this series, please go have a look out for that, because we really focus on identity, and we're going to reaffirm our position around why identity is important in today's world, right? In the old days, identity was there, but you had the VPN of sadness and perimeter network, right? Which was really a firewall, bricks and mortar. That world has changed. We also want to talk to current trends, what's happening in the world right now, what's happened over the last probably 24 months. I think we've only focused on 2023 because that's the year we do remember. All the years before that, we don't. And then we want to look at the real problem, because trends only map so much back. You know, it's like watching news. And then, based on that real problem, we want to give you some advice on what to look for. We'll jump into a demo. There's some tools that you can actually use to have a look better at what we're saying you should be looking for. And then, last but not least, we'll go into some final thoughts, best practices on things that you should be thinking about at a 10,000-foot view. And then we'll jump into the Q&A. Make sense, Nick?
Love it.
All right. So let's move on. We're going to try and get through these slides as fast as possible so that we can show you a few things. And then we also want to open the floor to any questions. And I suppose everyone will be able to come off mute, put their hand up and ask that question.